And we are in double swoosh for this one. First up, we have the bands here. Terra, Buster, and Pearl on the left-hand side. Sandy, Chester, and Crow right-hand side. I kind of believe we won't see any Chester today. Has been banned out quite often already. Mina's going to be the first pick here for the left-hand side. A super aggressive bowler can put a lot of pressure on your opponents.
Yeah, kind of still very much looking for some thing like Otis. I mean, this is a tank-heavy map, right? So you've got to have something in that back pocket, and I feel like with the Chester ban, that would kind of be where mine's at for Tribe. And at this stage, probably you can just double down with the ball and just kind of have both and throw it back over.
Something that stands out to me as a response to a Mina a lot of times is Kenji. I know that this is Luffy's brawler, okay? He would love to play it. Would come in as a last pick if it did appear. I think that a response to the Mina specifically is due, but they need to forge their own composition. This would be the ideal time to pick up their mid brawlers. A 2-3 last pick is kind of a waste for that. And we've seen lots of creative ways to play mid. Sandy, of course, is banned out, but it's one of the ways that we've seen mid played in the past. Bo is also one that stands out to me. I feel like Leon could sneak in here maybe, just, you know, spitballing.
Janet would be another one that comes to mind here. She wasn't banned out and is currently one of the best mids again. She always was, really, on double swoosh, especially because you're quite close to your opponent. She doesn't have the widest range, but because she can always get out of danger because of all these bushes, the danger around her, it's so good to have a brawler who can evade an incoming Mortis or a Kenji, like you already mentioned.
I want to see some more Lily today as well. I feel like that's a brawler which can definitely get a lot of value. It's going to be recent in the draft at the moment. I think we had some disconnects, so players are going to be getting back in on that side of things. Janet as well, as we saw already, you know, on this map, it's really quite brutal, but I don't know how good she is on her own. It works really well with the Doug kind of side of things, but you've got to have at least some side lane pressure if you're going to bring in the Janet pick. Yeah, Otis, I think that makes a ton of sense for me. It's definitely going to be one of those things that you can have in the back pocket. Against a team like Tribe Gaming, you do have to have a good tank counter.
Oh, well, okay. Mina has disappeared and has transformed into an Otis, so I wonder if our eyes were playing tricks on us, but this is what you were wishing for, Ark, was to see some Otis. It'll be coming in as the first pick now. It'll be the 2-3 for Tribe Gaming in just a moment here. I don't think Otis is really one that you respond to. You just kind of accept his existence and know that you shouldn't push him as a tank or an assassin.
I wouldn't recommend that either. Maybe a Spike brings a bit more range compared to the Otis. That could be an answer here if you wanted to react to the Otis. But yeah, tanks are now not as good anymore. So let's see if we're still going to see that Kenji, like you mentioned, one of Luffy's favorite brawlers. Sandy's still banned out, so we still have Bo and Janet as potential gem carriers here. What I always want to see on double swoosh or gem grab in general would also be a Lily. She is so good at just diving in with a hypercharge, getting those gems off the gem carrier, and then dive out again with a gadget back into the Shadow Realm.
Bull and Janet, go for it. I want to see some Bull. It's going to be a tough thing to make work, but I feel like Tribe Gaming are not going to be deterred by the Otis, really. I think it's more about the timings in which to try to consider things. Mortis, I think, going to have a good time on this map here, but Charlie as well, kind of curious as to where she sits within this region. Definitely been used a lot across South America and also in EMEA, so just kind of wondering whether, you know, that's really kind of carried over in that regard. But definitely Bo, not a bad brawler to have on this kind of map either. Like the Sandy shout, but you know, there's in this map very much a lot of options, and that's what makes it quite exciting for me.
I love double swoosh just as a map in general, also as a map name. It's pretty funny, but it's been around long enough for us to like establish, hey, you got the good side and you got the bad side. You have an easy way to the enemy gem carrier with the bushy side on the left, and then on the right, you have the tough responsibility of playing range, getting that scouting. Speaking of scouting, one thing that I would love to see here is Gene. I wonder if we'll see him play as a mid. You can play synergistically with him as well, you know, stick around his radius, get some magic puffs going, and this is a sort of team play also that is elevating teams to this level. It's what is characteristic of anyone who makes it to this stage in Brawl Stars.
One of the players is currently experiencing some technical issues at his end, and we of course want to make sure that everyone is competing under fair conditions, so we're gonna give him a little bit of time to get situated once more. Tribe versus Vatic. Now, if I would have seen this matchup here, you know, as Levy's roster already played last year, I would have definitely said Tribe would win this one. Bilal and Aslevy have had their fair share of losing versus this roster.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, it's always a tough region to compete within. Honestly, there's just so much competition. And for Tribe Gaming, they were the team that throughout the entirety of last year were the team to beat. And I just kind of worry that did last month tarnish that in their mental, coming in. And as long as they get the drafts right, that's obviously the first stage. Stu, I mean, yeah, I can see it as a good mid with the speed zone potential of that, so don't mind it. But gotta be honest, haven't seen Stu here for a while.
Yeah, we saw it's in South America, but it doesn't really give away a whole lot. I feel like there's just higher priority things in general to be selected here. Now, keep in mind, this would be drawing the comparison between North America and South America. Vastly different regional metas. Looks like also a comfort brawler, I believe. Here comes the Nita. Really preemptive here. A bit puzzling for me to see so early. It's going to be useful for pushing that lane that has more bushes, so from our perspective, it's going to be on the right side. Also acts as a pretty good tank counter. This, I think, is for a Bull specifically. Like, in case it is picked up now, Nita's the #1 way to counter that. You can't let them pick Bull and Nita.
And Bull is coming in next together with the Janet, the brawler that we mentioned before as well. To me, next to Sandy, the best gem carrier that you can have on double swoosh, really. Really solid combo on that left-hand side. Best gem carrier. The Bull that is just super strong at the moment. Very oppressive, can put up a lot of pressure against the opponents, play in their bushes, and then Otis to keep your own bushes safe. On the right-hand side, we don't have too much range right now versus that Otis and Janet pick. Stowie's also going to do a pretty good job in mid, can always dash out of harm's way. Nita pretty good against the Bull last pick. Another Bull counter and someone we haven't seen in a while, but I'm excited to see what Tribe can do with Surge.
Just saying, Bull and Janet had a 100% win rate in scrims. That's quite a scary prospect. Surge, I don't mind. I was kind of warming to it in South America, but I felt like it worked for the most part with the helping hand of that bow super totem to be able to really get off the mark. And until you do that with Surge, it could be a tough thing. But I feel like if there's any team that have got something in their pocket to counteract the tanks, kind of has to be Tribe. They're the team that are more renowned for bringing in those kinds of brawlers. So I do feel like, though, did they kind of want the Bull originally and they were kind of deterred away from it seeing the Otis? Or did Vatic kind of like have this in their mind? Or we might have some issues here with Bilal, looks like he's standing still as well to start things off. Possibly the player in mind that when we were loading up the draft has some issues.
Yeah, unlucky. Could be Power 1. We'll, I guess, get some information here. A bit of a sluggish start, but Vatic and Tribe Gaming, they're chomping at the bit. They are ready to face off versus each other. Vatic, the expected victor here, I think in many people's minds, if you're just to look at the script data, they look really fearsome. For Tribe Gaming, they have, as you said, the more extensive history. Not just history, but a legacy of greatness following last year. Did stumble at their first international event at the Brawl Cup. It was the first time that we really saw them struggling. Now, of course, that was with Zeus. But it doesn't seem that Diego Gamer was really the answer. I think any problems that Tribe are facing are more insidious, right? They're like deeper than that.
Yeah, I was impressed with the way that we saw Diego Gamer come into LCQ to helping hand as Livy on Team Electros, and I did feel like he was a little bit nervous as well. I felt like it was one of those things where, despite his best efforts, it was like one of those roster synergies that takes some time to get used to, and maybe that's what we're kind of seeing now with Tribe Gaming also, just that kind of teething period that they need to kind of get through. But I mean, they did play, to my count, like 530 scrims since the update. That's sets rather. Sorry, sets.
Still.
But that's still quite a lot, by far the most in this region. And that's just my only concern. Is like, because they've got so much pressure on themselves as a result of that exit in the semifinals last month, have they put too much weight on their shoulders? Have they kind of come in with this urgency to maybe overdo it?
I mean, by the sounds of things, yes. Did you say 530 sets?
Sets, yeah.
That's insane. I want you guys to look at your 3v3 wins on your profiles and think about how that translates to how much you have played Brawl Stars in your entire lifetime of playing this game. This is what they've done since the last patch. That is insanity right there. And look, I'm going to sound like a broken record here, but I know firsthand how much Tribe Gaming have been playing, and it is my opinion that they have actually been playing a little too much, grinding a little bit too hard. I wonder if they've scaled it back in the last week, learn to be friends. It's interesting. The last team to wear the Tribe Gaming banner, we saw them say, yeah, we actually had to learn how to be friends again. That's what Zulon said. I'm not going to say it's an org curse, but, heavy is the head that wears the crown. When you're #1, there is so much pressure to stay in that position.
It is a job in the end, and they become somewhat of co-workers, not friends anymore. But in the end, this is a game and it needs to be fun as much as they want to grind and they want to come out on top in the end. Really commendable still that they put in so much work. And the same thing was actually happening with Tribe roster last year. They were also the ones to scrim the most and they came out on top nearly every single time. So yeah, it probably pays off. It is an interesting question you threw into the room, though. Maybe you can scrim too much. And the more you scrim, the more data you also give to your opponents. And that is something that we see often in drafts then. Everybody knows exactly which brawlers you want to play.
For Vatic as well, you know, a big roster move that is going to carry a lot of potential on the shoulders of Ducky to really follow through with that too, because, you know, I always find this when teams kind of pick up a player, and it's like, especially with a lot of eyes on that kind of story as well. You know, that responsibility, that additional pressure that comes with that as well. So it's a really interesting matchup for me in that regard. Both of these two teams have got so much to have to live up to. I mean, Tribe historically over the past sort of 2 years, like I said, going back through those score lines, that semi-finals exit last month was their worst performance since June of 2024, when, you know, that was actually even the Elevate roster of that year. It wasn't even Tribe Gaming, it was that far back. That was the last time we saw this roster, you know, deviate away from the grand finals. It's wild to me.
Yeah, just weird. Something's going on with Tribe Gaming. What is it? You know what? If you know, then maybe they would like to hear your opinion, because I think they've been trying to figure it out themselves and they haven't been able to. This is ultimately going to be the test of whether they have found the solution. Because no matter your opponent in the first round, if you are truly number one, if you are deserving of that title, then you're going to win every match over the course of the day. It doesn't matter what order it is.
What's also an interesting thing to always discuss is metas, and it has changed once more. Now we're in a very tank-heavy meta. Immediately what comes to mind here is RBM. I feel like the current meta should favor Tribe, actually, and it looks like we have a game, folks. This is the first map in this series, Vatic versus Tribe Gaming.
Here we go, fast splatter there from Bilal. Great to see him now back in the action, correctly as so. Big moves already from the surge of Luffy, and that's going to be Ducky falling straight away.
Luffy pretty much walks in just all wide and walking in a straight line, gets his first super for free. That's really, really important. I figure Vatic just decided, well, he's going to get it eventually. Let's not play chicken about it. You'll see Ducky go super aggressive on the left side, the mobility over towards mid. It's what I think is going to make the Nita matchup actually a little challenging, is keeping track of the bull. But he's not hard to find now. Charges right into Diego Gamer and Luffy on the right side. Meanwhile, on the left, RBM is looking for an angle to push in. Won't get anything just yet. Still waiting for someone to push up that left side and just debating whether he's going to lane swap.
Pretty even start though. Tribe had an explosive one to really start things off, but now it seems like Vatic are starting to collect themselves a little bit better. As Livy, of course, having that escape mechanism is going to be quite crucial here. Here's some big taps, probably not too far away from hypercharge now as well, as Ducky falls yet again, so probably going to have to make as Livy rethink his positioning here. And now taking skies, and actually goes in the aggressive, the hypercharge onto Diego Gamer.
Interesting, yeah, force him all the way up. In fact, push him into Tribe Gaming spawn, and it looks to be profitable so far. Could be Luffy getting in from the side. One more shot will do it. Meanwhile, on the right side, Ducky's creating a lot of pressure, forcing RBM back. Has the super in hand, could rush up towards RBM, goes for it, it's a dash away, and Ducky has his hypercharge. It's going to be super meaningful for the next push in, because he gets those piercing shots thanks to the buffy that Bull recently got. Tribe Gaming have the countdown. It's 10 gems in hand as they run back to spawn.
Let's see whether we can see a hypercharge from Ducky here, going straight into the cycler as well. The surge will jump though into the hands of his Livy. That's going to be a reset nonetheless, and that's going to be time. Valuable time for Vatic. They should be able to get some from the mid here, but I don't think there's going to be necessarily enough. There is. That gem is spawned so in a couple of seconds now. 7 the most. Let's see, Livy's going to go down here as well, so that should be doable. The reset is there. Very calm and collected from Vatic.
Well, look how aggressively RBM is playing. He just wanted that super so badly, only to throw it away a moment later. At least he's in position, but it would have, you know, been a little bit better if he could have helped his team out with some of this pressure. Going to, at mid, have to dash away as Livy in the sky, hypercharge style, doing so much damage. Vatic has all these gems once more. It's a takedown. You gotta be kidding. How is Diego Gamer getting away with this? this. 20 gems in their possession and 10 seconds to go.
And really so little to be done with in terms of utility really now from Vatic. No dashes from Ducky, no ability from Esliv to get some air control. Can they get his takedown potentially now? No, that is a massive steal, and Esliv was very unfortunate. He couldn't really get away with what he was able to establish, but a massive, massive turnaround from Tribe that really shouldn't have happened.
No, that was crazy. That felt like kind of a theft for Tribe.
Yeah.
Admittedly, though, they were in the lead in terms of gems. They fell back, and what happened? Well, they got charged by a hypercharged bull. What are you going to do about that? His shots pierce. All of a sudden, the Nita doesn't matter so much anymore. Her bear isn't blocking you, and it's precisely what we saw happen. But they hung on. If only by a thread. We'll see if Tribe Gaming is offered that free surge level up. It's going to happen once more. Ducky doesn't really mind. He still has to create positioning on the left side. And hey, it's better than giving Nita a bear.
And of course, like, the more the Surge is shooting the ball, the more it's feeding him anyway. So like, I don't think this Surge is necessarily the strongest of answers in my opinion, but we'll see how it will play out for Tribe, whether that was just a steal at one-off or whether it's actually consistently going to work against this kind of comp. Going in again onto the game, and look at this. Ducky's just going to continue cycling and push RBM there straight into his Livy, who can actually outstay his welcome if he wanted to. Could have maybe been able to get to the skies there, chose not to. Almost 7 gems from the mid now for Vatic, and that's a really promising opening start.
That's great team play from Vatic also. Ducky knows that he's going to die if he pushes, but he doesn't need the kill. He knows that he's creating the opportunity for his Livy to get those gems into his possession. Now, as Livy has the hypercharge, things are open on the left side. Luby jumps back to try and recover, but it's not going to be any good. Though he has gotten some health back. RBM's work on the right side has pushed his Livy back. Get a super for his troubles. Vatic just reassuming position. Ducky knows that this is the wrong matchup. They don't want RBM versus him on the right side. He's going to take that matchup. It's the best one that he could be offered him. Off to reposition around the left side. RBM goes super aggressive all the way to spawn. Can get a takedown on his Livy. Now Ducky's holding on the gems, and that's bad business.
Yeah, not great at all. Actually has to force out the super to go back onto defense now to get his Livy to come in and get some taps. As Tribe Gaming now, 6 gems, making up for a lot of lost time and a 7th spawning from that mid. Livy there with the hypercharge, great value as well. The ricochet shots between us, Livy there and Ducky, and Livy will fall to RBM. Now dig again with the hypercharge coming in as well. Really big plays from Tribe, making up so much time, and it's now 8 gems apiece.
They've got that spawn trap going as well. They had possession of Vatic's nearest bush. And what does Vatic really have? They have Bilal with what's usually a defensive super, but he might have to use it on offense now. Just needs a sightline on someone. RBM trying to fake him out. The hypercharge is out, but the super hangs on. Tribe Gaming in possession of 11 gems. Vatic don't have enough time to recover this. Bilal's going to give it his best effort. But this one was absolutely won hard and fair by Tribe Gaming. The first one felt like a steal. This one's all fair. Tribe Gaming take the lead early on.
Good stuff from Tribe. Putting their money where their mouth is. They came in today saying some big talk that they were going to turn things around, and that was the way they wanted to start things out. I still feel like I love the Vatic comp more. I really do. I think that if Ducky was able to make that ball just count a little bit more, it's not easy. I mean, the Nita's going to get a ton of value off the back of you regardless, and the Surge is literally designed to counter you, but I still feel like in the way that Wallace is so oppressive right now, it could have still been done.
I think he was just shut down too hard. He looked, I want to say, a little homeless. Like he couldn't really find the matchup that he wanted. He faced against Stu thinking like, well, I'm not against one of my hard counters on the enemy side, and even that wasn't sufficient. That's good for Tribe Gaming, shaking off the nerves a little bit. No celebration, no smiles just yet. You can see it's a kind of satisfaction that they know could be so fleeting. They don't want to indulge themselves too much just yet.
Yeah, still very, very early days. Pretty even for the most part across the board, I would say. But the mistakes were definitely more prominent on the side of Vatic, as they just couldn't really get out of that situation and was flanked around as the gamer came in to secure that kill, and just everyone else had already fallen. All the gems were spilled, and Tribe got off the mark with that first game, and after that just kind of crumbled down a little bit for the side of Vatic. I want to see things how they reset into a new draft, into our next map, but yeah, I would say that in terms of the stats, not too much to say, more to say about the mistakes that were made.
Yeah, something I want to shout out, actually a good play was RBM getting the hypercharge Stu all the way behind, and all of a sudden the front lines don't matter anymore. When you got pressure coming from the top, from the bottom, he managed to take down their gem carrier of Livy. He was on that gem, he's like one tap, and now all of a sudden Ducky on the bull has to pick up all the gems. Now things are topsy-turvy. They're not how they're supposed to be. There will be room for aggression here on Pinhole Punt. However, I think there's some room for synergistic play also with a wide open mid.
Well, despite all the practice, the map kind of escaped for a little bit in Tribe's preparation process. Vatic got a 72% win rate here, so you'd expect them to come prepared. Bans are the Crow, the Bull, and the Otis, the Meeple, the Ziggy, and the Glowy. So good stuff around for me at the moment. Spike that first early pick. Again, I wasn't a massive fan of seeing it as much as we did in South America, but it's getting some good value, so I don't necessarily mind it for that reason. But still some big heavy hitters. Despite the Bull ban, Kenji going to be available here, and I think that's it's just a question of whether that Glowy ban is going to deter them away from it. Let's see as well, BB could be an option here, Pierce as well. Those are brawlers that are still escaped through those global bans, so Ems as well, being globally banned, could play a factor here. Yep. Otis though, you know, again, when it's in this sort of brawlers ban, you're looking for the alternative, and Chester is that.
Okay, Chester will be a counter to any aggression. He just deals out ridiculous damage in close range. One that I'm looking for actually is Poco. I think some of the good Poco counters have been out of the mix, basically. The superior support of Glowy is gone. You have Ems also globally banned. Could create an opportunity. It would be nice to be able to pair it up with the BB. So I feel like Vatic are considering this right now. Yeah, just go ahead and take the BB for themselves and pick up something to support it later. Or they just decide to take this one on the chin. They're like, okay, well, they can counter the BB. It's going to suck, but at least we don't have to face it.
I like it though, the Chester and the BB combination. It's really quite nice. Mo could work out pretty well actually off the BB, just cycling again that drill and the utility off the back of it. And in Brawl Ball, it does have a great tendency to get results, get a nice through ball and lock it away. See as well. I like your Poco shot though as well. Gale going to be slightly more of a harder shutdown though. Didn't get the best of results earlier today, but it has seen some fantastic ones in EMEA and South America. So definitely some insurance policies coming in here for Tribe. Lacking their kind of normal aggressor, I will say. I'm not sure whether it's the time or the place necessarily for it, but it's always a joy to watch RBM pop up in Brawl Ball if he does decide to go that way.
Yeah, I'm curious what he plays into this BB because the #1 BB counter is gone. It was banned by Vatic, and here's the Mo. Yeah, for whatever reason, I feel like Mo is going to suffer here. I think he's not going to be so great into the BB. However, the ideal pairing for this composition from Vatic, it's got to be Poco. And Poco has like 2 bad lanes here. Mo is able to get right under him, not really much he can do there. Gale also, just like in the range game, makes Poco pretty difficult to play. So I feel like Vatic may still decide to go for it. They just like hard death ball this down the field.
Calme-toi.
It's going to be Charlie. And yeah, I was kind of curious to see. We saw Charlie so much in East Asia and did kind of like drop off slightly towards EMEA and then bring it back again into South America. I think it's a really worthy kind of brawler pick. I guess with the biggest of responses it's going to have into the Mo, really. That's what you kind of want to have that cocoon ready for, is when the drill comes out, that it's shut down immediately. So I think it's not bad. I think that as long as that Charlie is kind of shadowing the Mo, then it could get some value, but it really is very much defensive and reactive super to be able to hit. You can't really aim it in advance.
Spiders also will be able to block a bunch of these shots, so that's a huge consideration as Livy is tapping with this yo-yo to pass up to Ducky, who's largely unsupported. He pushed up really, really hard into a couple of anti-tanks. Now Tribe Gaming get to take up that space. In the absence of Ducky, he's back up on deck on the right side. That's a pretty good super from Luffy to eliminate as Livy. Ducky will just pocket this ball in the corner because he knows that this has got to be a team effort. He, as a lone BB, is not going to take down 2 anti-tank brawlers.
No curveball for Luffy as well, which I'm really quite enjoying because the amount of times I end up saying that, you know, if you're not being able to dodge curveball at this level, then, you know, what are we doing? It's obviously going to make it a little bit even easier to dodge, but I think the value that he can be obtained off the back of it could speak for itself. Hypercharge now for him also. Ducky then popping the between booster to be able to push up here, but it's being really heavily scrutinized. The pinch between Luffy and RBM is just too strong.
Vatic looks so lost right now. Ducky's been wandering around. He wanted to swap over to the left side. That's a little handoff to Luffy as Livy recovers it, but has no ammunition, it would seem. What? I'm surprised he didn't pass that away. You only have 1 shot as Charlie just surprised he didn't have it to throw it away. We'll see Vatic come out the gates once more with aggression. Ducky won't get the additional healing from that next smack. He's going to have to weave his way into range or just throw away the healing. He might be incentivized to do that now to give his team better odds of pushing later. But no, decides to go for it. Has that pass up to him, but still pockets of forward. Just wants a better lane. Knows that he can run down the smoke as Mo is just like terrible damage in close range. And guess what? It's a game of musical lanes. Diego Gamer swaps over to mid.
Yeah, Diego Gamer pretty low. Again, another lovely super there from Luffy, but time is ticking on. 40 seconds left, and it's Vatic that do need the goal. Tribe Gaming now starting to push things up on this right-hand side. The advance ever close to the hypercharge of RBM is a dangerous one at that, so if he continues to get fed from Ducky, I do worry as to how they'll fare. Hypercharge already going in, and that's what I'm saying with the Charlie. You've got to be hot on the collar for that one.
Well, and Bilal's going to have terrible, yeah, there we go. Just awful matchup there in close range. Bilal comes out on top. Of course, Ducky kind of throws away this bubble. Would love to have the super in the end game. Bilal also being kept back so effectively by RBM. He's got to be close to this super. Here it is. It's wide open, but no one has a super. As Livy knows he's not going to be able to pass this in, but Ducky might be able to hypercharge forward. Just going to go for a pass up to Bilal. Oh, and just at the 11th hour, in advance of overtime, tie up the game.
I was like heart in mouth wondering why Ducky wasn't popping hypercharge, so really reserving for it as Livy now going to chop just connect the cocoon as well. That's massive now. Ducky can afford to be super on the aggressive, missing some swipes, but now making up for lost time. And what a turnaround for Vatic! That was nuts!
Holy comeback! How did they keep their composure there? It's like you said, yo, what about the hypercharge? Where's that going? And he's like, don't worry, I'll handle it.
I got this.
I got this. Like, I have a plan for overtime, and it worked out so beautifully. Cocooned the left lane, it made it a 3v2, and it was curtains from there.
That goes to show the confidence, doesn't it, really, by holding and reserving it. Just so sure that it was going to be a goal in that final second, enough to be able to then really utilize it in overtime. Unreal stuff from Vatic, who really did need a bit of a game to breathe a breath in this battle, because so far Tribe haven't skipped a beat, but that's showing that they can still bleed.
Vatic up one game in the set, though it didn't look like it was going to go that way from the final few seconds. They somehow managed to bring it back. Real hat trick there. What is Ducky doing is my main question, because he just has really bad matchups. He's been put in a terrible situation. RBM's trying to send this one down the mid. Not going to work out. It's defense again for Vatic. They need to win these lanes, and Ducky, I think, has really just accepted that. No, he's not going to be able to get on that Mo. He's just going to have to suck it up, but his teammates have to create the opportunities for him to do so. Him being the spearhead for this push is really the biggest thing. He knows he's going to die. Hopefully this lets Vatic take up some space in mid. Otherwise, it would have been a worthless death. How is he alive still? Luffy even gets poisoned. On the right side, Diego Gamer's pretty low. That's the opportunity. Unless Bilal gets him with the shot. RBM down 2 as he walked forward just to, you know, prevent himself from getting staggered on the respawn. Still, it's mid-control for Vatic, finally.
Really good stuff so far, but almost Tribe were able to make something of this. Now Luffy's going to be pinched in here from RBM and water bubble. Great one from Ducky there as well. It's going to be a goal for Les Livy. With 1 minute on the clock now, Tribe Gaming behind and under a tremendous amount of pressure to bring this back.
So how does this mid-fight go once more? Look at the kit that Tribe Gaming is boasting right now. They have a couple of hypercharges, one super. Luffy knows that he can zone off one of those important lanes, especially in front of the ball. Might do it in front of the goal. There we go.
Massive.
Ducky's slowed down. It's a ton of damage onto him. He's healing up a bit more, but pockets fall on the left. Bilal wants to get this and pass it over to his Livy, but even then, would it have been worth it? RBM can just blast him into his own spawn. Ball thrown away up the left side as Livy stagger on the respawn. It's a pass up to Luffy, then to RBM. Daisy chain down the field to tie up things in game number 2. 20 seconds till we head to OT.
Retaliation from Tribe, and here comes the hypercharge of RBM, forcing back Ducky, no stun there as well. Luffy again has been playing a fantastic spike, and again, the choice of star power with fertilizer with Buffy's really interesting to see. Makes a big difference now going into overtime yet again. Can Vatic do what they did last time and bring this to a position of equalizing the sets, or can Tribe find something? I'm looking towards the game here. If he gets through with this hypercharge, it could be devastating.
Well, with things wider open, it's going to be much easier to dodge Spike. Ducky might actually have better matchups here, but he wants to stay away from RBM. Look how much space he's giving him because he wants to swap lanes. Says, Livy, please take care of him. Now in the cocoon, Luffy knows that he's going to pop out any second now. Ducky goes for a couple swipes, just misses the next one, who's barely out of range. gets a gadget restored for Ducky. He'll get a bit more health. Tribe Gaming just biding their time. They know that this Mo hypercharge is their ticket to victory. One elimination is all that they need to lock it in.
Uh-oh, as Livy's not got the cocoon, and now Diego Gamer punches it as well. It's going to be an easy pass through for Diego Gamer to get that game done. I think Vatic themselves knew that towards the end there was not really anything that was going to happen other than Diego Gamer getting that ball, going in, and getting the job done for Tribe.
Vatic have not made themselves an easy draft here, okay? They are not giving themselves a good time. With this BB, Ducky just has like torture matchup after torture matchup. And typically BB is quite accustomed to being able to walk forward and win. Ducky's having to go really, really deep, make his teammates fight a 2v3, and then stay alive on the back line still in the face of all that oppression. It seems to have worked actually quite well. Vatic have been tapping things up as Ducky's been a massive distraction. Gets hit with the stick around, but it should be fine. Pass up to him for a slot in. No, not quite. Luffy's here with the defense, not just one, but possibly 2 kills. Won't get the lineup for that final shot onto Bilal, but RBM is ready for a pinch. Still gets stuck in that cocoon. Bilal has an easy kill also versus RBM in close range. It's looking pretty solid. Vatic definitely in control of mid. Not enough firepower to make it through the goal line. Ducky's getting the heal. Passed it a little bit prematurely, but it's fine.
Surprised Diego Gamer didn't use Super there to knock the ball out of the hands of Vatic, but nonetheless, Tribe now behind here. Good connections from Ducky. Now at full HP as the Spiderlings go out to cause some problems. Tribe, Diego Gamer getting tapped up as well by Eslev, who's a couple of shots away from Super, has the hypercharge as well, and is probably going to need it. This is time where Tribe are looking to make this push and open up some space with Diego Gamer to potentially go in here. I think he could probably go in now, but maybe Eslev that close to the cocoon that he doesn't want to risk it.
As Livy, what do you have up your sleeve? Gotta be one shot away. Yeah, I mean, he's tapping so much like, what? He doesn't have it by now? So he has the hypercharge and cocoon, but this is a pretty deadly super as Livy has to stay aggressive to get the lineup, and another one. Ducky walks forward, just the next tribute. Yeah, run down the clock a little bit and know that overtime should favor them. It's where they won in the last game. Vatic, what is their plan now? Is Livy still hanging on to that cocoon, who's denied the ability to use it? Also, Bilal has a hypercharge super. That could be pretty beefy. Ducky forced back by the Twister. Now stuck on the right side inside the stick around. Don't think he really minds. He wasn't taking that much damage. As Livy now coming in from the right side. It's body blocks, like you said. A walk through for Vatic. It's game number 3 and set 2 headed their way to tie up the series.
That was more like the 50-50 that I'm expecting to see from this matchup. Really nice to see Vatic not taking it lying down, especially after the result of that set and gem grab, which just really was so dominant in favor of Tribe. Very close nonetheless. Massive, massive result for Vatic. I've got to say though, going in, wasn't a massive pound of spike, but seeing Luffy play it, I'm converted, bro. Honestly, can't wait to see his stats. He was just playing out of his mind. The amount of hypercharges and value he was getting off these supers was just nuts, but still wasn't quite enough. And again, I feel like it was a better match there for Ducky than it was in that first set. He definitely had more opportunity to put the pressure on there.
On the note of Luffy, like, call me crazy, I still feel like he's underrated. He's a top player in the region, and yeah, he's like a total standout from his team. I feel like teaming with, teaming from, there you go. Legitimately standing out in the kills department. I think alongside RBM, it is really difficult to, shine, and Luffy accomplishes that. They all looked really solid here, Tribe Gaming, but they were outshone by the team play of Vatic. It looked like Ducky finally figured out how he was going to approach this, okay? He takes way, way far left or right, then circles around, baits a bunch of ammunition towards himself. It opens the doors for little chip shots to come in from Charlie, and those accumulate over time. That is how they managed to get those goals.
Going in then to out in the open. Again, a reminder of this global bans, the M's, the Ruffs, the Leon, and the Kit. Now, Angelo, Buster, Byron joined the mix as well as the Eve, the Ollie, and the Byron. Interesting to see Ollie banned actually here because it's often kind of left out, but it makes a lot of sense. Could be still Jae-Young an option. Definitely a better combination of the Ollie and the Jae-Young, but it is definitely something which could still work here. Brock, not the flashiest of brawlers, but one that I still feel is first pick worthy here. Of course, Gene gives you some options as well, and as long as we don't see as many missed hands as we saw from the previous match with Snoy, then we should be good on that front. But still a very good Pierce game on this map also.
Yeah, I feel like Crow's just kind of a must, because, like, look, I don't want to face Glowy, I don't want to face Jae-Young, both of them are pretty useful as healers. Let's go for the anti-heal strat. Also, Crow's just good in general. Now, this is interesting. I want to point out the ban from Tribe Gaming. I feel like Ollie's kind of targeted. I feel like that's a very ducky brawler. Speaking of brawler and player pairings, Bilal is a massive Pierce player, so this should be a pretty comfortable matchup for them, or for him. Headed into this later stage of the match where things are proving to be pretty equal, it's important to find that comfort.
I like the mid wall here. It's kind of like a good deterrent of potentially Glowy. I still think Glowy here is going to have a very good time. Oh, again, it's Spy coming in. Yeah, I mean, we know how it's going to be played to perfection. So definitely probably a better mode, actually. They just didn't really kind of get the value despite the amount of kills that he was getting. I mean, he was getting the value, but the match was still lost.
Move those feet to the
there's a
box.
block. I really love that pick. I mean, again, it's not necessarily as flashy as some other stuff, but just having that immediate wall break goes such a long way here.
So how do you get over the left side? You don't have stuff that floats over water easily. Okay, Angelo's gone, Eve's gone. You don't have convenient wall break. Do you just do you go gray with a grand piano? What are your options? Or you decide, you know, screw it. We will run Jae Young to get mid position, or we'll earn it the hard way. I feel like actually Mansions of Meeple could be pretty nasty to deal with. They actually decide to double down. They go for the bell. This should spell pretty good sharpshooter matchups. Yes, it is going to be difficult to land your shots on a Crow, but a Cactus from Spike isn't going to properly absorb the shot. It can still reflect off of the Cactus. Brock also outranged, just outdone in, I think, a lot of like sniper v sniper matchups. So on a matchup perspective, I feel like Vatic should have the upper hand, but in terms of getting that initial positioning, they are vastly outdone by this Brock from Tribe.
See Crow coming forwards as well, a brawler which is just so often globally banned at this point in terms of the meta, so looking forward to seeing some good assassination attempts with him. But I'm kind of with you. I think that the more exciting comp is definitely with Vatic. I mean, certainly Pierce in this particular map can do so much work. I think the bell shots as well, like we already said, bringing that in. I feel like, you know, if you get some good reverse polarity connections and also into the live plant, it's going to deplete a little bit of what that can do in terms of body blocking. So let's see, Dig again, we're going to already shape the map to his advantage as well here, with that entirety of that corner now blown away.
Yeah, really nice lineup there from his Livy. He banked that shot perfectly to hit behind the barrel. It's a hot spot for sharpshooters to hide here on out in the open. Also want to point out the placement of the Mansions of Meeple gadget early game denied that positioning for Spike. Even though Diego Gamer broke open the wall, Ducky's going to go for it again, just back away that right side. Ooh, they've also managed to trap someone. Not that it really does anything for them. Like, Ducky's been outranged quite a bit, so hasn't managed to get a super just yet, but if he had, it would have been a definite kill.
Let's see now, coming in, another reverse polarity. Did connect, not too sure though on that top right-hand side. Ducky outstays his welcome. He was struggling prior to it, so I'm not really surprised. As Livy now just going to go into the gas as quickly as he possibly can. Try to feed, but Luffy still gets that kill, so giving over a little bit there, but Tribe looking pretty confident, I would say.
No doubt. Vatic, they have these long-range brawlers that they can outrange with, and it just doesn't really seem to be playing to their advantage. Reason being, it's quite difficult for them to hit these shots. You saw as Livy firing away at Crow, and it's something that I shouted out during the match. Crow has very fast movement speed. Oh my goodness, but as Livy's looking pretty deadly now. Marksman here at mid, he has another reverse polarity to fire away, looking for the proper matchup. Could reach over to Diego Gamer, who falls just short of making it to that left bunker. But Vatic now have mid control. They can rest easy knowing that they have the upper hand here. Tribe Gaming have the hard path. Once that poison's at their backs, they'll have no other choice but to move forward.
Yeah, if Ducky can get into a good spot here and really shut everything down, get the pinch between himself and Bilal. Livy is with a hyper charge. That's a great wall. Look at that round the corner. Beautiful curve there from his Livy. But Diego Gamer's pushing back now. But nice rocket fuel. Ducky low, going to poison down. But actually, as Livy gets the kill regardless prior to it. I love the accuracy as well from Diego Gamer on this block. You can see like how much push, but leaving the walls intact. That was really, really nicely done in the previous round.
Well, they've been scrimming a lot, so they've had a lot of chances to practice it, huh? Yeah, practice makes perfect, but only perfect practice. You know that Tribe Gaming have been drilling things a lot. You can see it in their gameplay. But Vatic has been winning in their practice. That's the perfect practice right there. So far, a bit of a stalemate, nothing major won so far, a bit of chip damage going both ways. Ducky knows that if he traps someone in this mansion, then it's over for them. Can you get the spike? No, but they've closed off the lane. Doesn't matter so much because this corridor around the right to left lanes is so troublesome for them to face Diego Gamer, especially Crow. Like, if Luffy hits one shot, then he poisons them and sends them out of commission for a while, but now he's got to be two-tapped by several brawlers. A beautiful super for Diego. It's not looking good for Vatic.
It really is not here, and I think there's going to be no way around it. Nowhere to go for Ducky. Oh, hang about. This could be an opportunity itself, but actually just immediately punished as RBM comes in. Ridiculous ending, but Tribe looked very much in control there. They're not deterred by the comeback of the Brawl Ball from Vatic. They are just back in business, and this Brock pick's working out super well.
It's great. The thing with Brock is at the end of his shot, you have AoE. So as long as you operate at max range, then you're looking pretty good. You hit a bunch of shots that like technically would have missed. So against sharpshooters, it's not the worst matchup. It just as Livy is more tanky than Brock in the 1v1. Look at the lane switch up, by the way. They put RBM at mid and Brock on the right side. Bilal's taking fire from both of those areas. And here comes the wall break from Tribe Gaming as well, just opening up this stronghold that Vatic wants to hide in. They have to abandon ship because there's just not a safe place for them to hide anymore. And now they got to get crafty. They've basically only got one way of moving into mid. No one wants to take the jump pad. It is a death sentence if you do, but sometimes you have no other choice.
I really don't want them to, honestly. It's one of those things I want to see avoided at all costs. Ducky was trickling down so much there from the Crow Poison. Now the Buffy Gadget doing its work, but this is where things get a little bit hairy for Vatic. Not the greatest of balls from Ducky, to be honest, either. Now still Vatic punched in as Livy goes down. Now surely as well, Ducky to follow. But there's a trade. It's a 1v1, but Luffy's in a much better shot here of surviving on. Not out of the question though for Bilal. Can he land?
Oh my gosh!
He lands it on 70 HP. The poison trickling down. That was so clutch from Vatic.
That's insane. It was Ducky straight lining forward, getting one kill and getting Crow low enough for Bilal to move through. And that was through a super also. He was taking a bunch of poison damage. He had to hit every shot there. There was no room for error. Now Ducky gets exactly what he wanted. It's two enemies trapped. The piercing through the walls, but yo, where's the assistance? As Livy marks on the left side, Diego Gamer, he's pinched between Bilal and his Livy. Could still get a kill here. No, Bilal hits him from the bottom side, and Vatic tie it up. I can't believe that just happened. What a clutch round two to finish things off and tie up the set once more. This is as tight as it gets till we head to double match point. By the looks of things, it is getting more realistic by the second. It's set number 3. Both teams have one game apiece. Somehow, some way, Vatic always find a way to face Tribe Gaming here in the quarters. This would be their first time winning.
Wow. Vatic, when they look like they're out, they still just keep fighting back, but it does seem like Tribe, though, lead the aggression, lead the scoreline. So they've got to be able to get ahead here, really. Let's see. There's RBM getting tapped up, got a heal up. Stuck in the left-hand side. Seems to be in a much more confident position. Shield for Luffy. Another mansion of Lethal all going straight up. And no super be able to follow up, though, so not able to do too much here. But Bilal comes in, gets a couple of taps as well. It's looking better for Vatic.
Good team play also. You see RBM sticking down the life plant to block for Luffy. That's a super out from Spike. Gets him a little damage. Ducky doesn't have enough to finish off this kill. Luffy is pretty lit up, though. Ducky's going to abandon or just dodge everything. Every single Spike could take him down, and he just dodged every single one as Livy with a really preemptive super. It's 3v3, but everyone on Vatic is on low health. But Bilal's going to take a bunch of these shots to the face. A super for a takedown as Livy and Bilal both need to stay alive. The poison's enough to eliminate Diego Gamer. It's one round for Vatic. One round from them taking the upper hand in this match against Tribe.
This would be massive. What a reverse polarity there from his Livy. Beautiful barrel, and it actually is enough to put Vatic in this position early on where they're now in good amounts of control. Hypercharge for his Livy. Gotta get that super though and land that mark. It's gonna make a big difference on this round if you can do so. There's Bilal in the mid. Getting some good taps, good wall as well. Luffy's then shut down, and look at that, punished on the way out. Down, but not out just yet, down to 660 HP.
But that is why Luffy is him. He managed to stay alive through all of that. The back and forth dodging, Bilal shot the same place twice, and still, all that was left was some motion blur behind Luffy. He was so wiggly. Here's a hypercharge on the right side from Livy backing things away. Tribe Gaming have one of their members trapped in their spawn, though he is not marked up, so it's definitely a win for them in a micro kind of way. The super now, that barrel is penetrable, and Bilal needs to take advantage of it. Doesn't really seem to do so. He does have a super that's guaranteed damage on whoever's inside the radius. It's one tap onto Tribe Gaming, back into their bushes. RBM gets a kill as Livy got some pretty sick shots there on the right side, but it was too little, too late. One round, one final life for each one of these players in set number 3.
Down to one single round then. RBM has the hypercharge as well. That's going to be really punishing. Ducky knows it. Throws out. And manages to meeple there as well. This is looking dangerous, realistically. Vatic getting pushed back. Bilal, low HP. Levy trying to find, again, a lovely connection and does, so that might just be enough to alleviate the left-hand side somewhat.
Well, Bilal needs to hit the shots. Like, that's the main thing here, and Crow is so wiggly that it's difficult to do so. With every single shot that Bilal fires off, Luffy seems to shrug it off as if he already knew exactly where it was going before it was fired. Tribe Gaming still in position, in Vatic backed up into the same spot we've seen them lose from so many times. Hypercharge popped for RBM, and Bilal goes down early as Livy knows it's over. It's a pin out from Ducky as they're beginning to accept defeat. A flurry of supers out from Tribe Gaming as Vatic still desperately clawed the chance for victory, but it wasn't there to begin with. This one's all Tribe. It is 1-2 with Tribe in the lead.
Very valiant from Tribe against a lot of scrutiny, but then just back to business as usual. That was like the same position where Tribe were placing Vatic time and time again to get that early lead. And despite, like, I thought that Vatic had some wind in their sails, honestly, and starting to correct some of those mistakes to give themselves the best shot, and they just kind of crumbled back to their old ways and, you know, deserved to lose the set, really.
Looking at the stats, Diego Gamer looked pretty legendary on that Brock. Also, for anyone sleeping on the Spike, myself included, you know, feast your eyes on a pretty awesome KD for Spike as well. This one worked out really, really well. I think the combination of all those Crow Knives and the Spike supers, or excuse me, shots, but the supers as well, dodging all of that was a tall order. We saw Ducky actually do it on one occasion, but sitting in an aggressive position, it's really, really overwhelming. It worked out for Vatic in one single game, okay? It worked out for them in individual rounds within the set. Didn't lend itself to victory for them. Tribe Gaming just playing safe stuff, and it works out quite effectively on a mechanical basis.
So, gentlemen, how are we liking the addition of Ducky so far in the Vatic?
I like it.
I think he's doing great. I feel like at the moment, though, maybe he's just not got the brawlers, which, I mean, looking in back to last month, Mortis, I mean, he was just unbelievable on that particular brawler. It's kind of like working. There's nothing wrong with it. I think it's good, but I still want to see him pop off.
Me too. Ducky, we just need to see him given good matchups. I feel like we've been denied greatness. I've yet to see like a Ducky pop-off moment today, except for, honestly, okay. We saw him punch in with the BB in set number 1, set number 2. You saw him dodging a bunch of spike shots consecutively. That was a lot. But where's the high execution brawler that we see is so typical for Ducky? Actually, hold up. And the gems also in set number 1. So all of these things in mind, give Ducky a chance to shine as the newest member of the squad, an expensive one, I might add.
Apparently, we are now on open. We're now on open business, and this is going to be the last chance for Vatic to pop off if they still want to stay in the race here. BB's going to be left open and immediately makes it into the pig phase. Same thing with Chester, actually. I believe so far the most banned brawler of the day, with BB and Bull still in the mix. Whenever those two aren't banned in the regular bans, they're probably going to show up in the pig phase, especially in a map like open business. You need to come in close and comfy with your opponents to collect actually some time in the hot zone. Spike is going to come in here. Pretty good brawler to just cover the bases here. You can't really step on the zone when his super is laid down. BB yesterday was a bit of an issue because she was just in the back behind her opponents. She was playing in spawn of the opponents and never actually collected some percentages.
Surprised Sphinx hasn't been picked up here yet. Definitely a good brawler to consider for sure on this kind of map. Shelly was about pretty much the hardest of counters into that BB already. Still, Tribe could go Kenji here if they really wanted to. I mean, worried for the Spike for sure, but it's definitely the tank that would spring to mind for them on this particular map. Let's see how they kind of feel about that. Do worry a little bit for the spike. Probably just to take it away from Tribe at this point because they're playing it so well and so effectively. I quite like it, but third and final pick coming in now for the Tribe. Let's see how they feel.
If you're Vatic, you're coming into this with all of your preparation. You're like, look, we know what bans we're going for, so don't touch those. But for the love of God, don't give them Spike again. I don't want to face that. Yeah. I think Bilal, which I feel like this BB will probably go over to Ducky, but does not want to face that brawler again and just get merched on that brawler. So let's talk about the approach to the BB, because Tribe Gaming had first pick and they deliberately let Vatic have it. Clearly they're not concerned. They believe that they can outrange it with Pierce, which I don't think is wrong. Is the Shelly going to be enough? I feel like I've been pretty disappointed in the performance of Shelly as a brawler in this new patch with the new round of buffies. She's just not as strong anymore. Now Barley, I feel like you're probably committing to walls that will not exist for very long, because both Shelly and Chester can break them open.
That was my immediate thoughts as well. Barley's a bit of a risky pick here. Probably has to go with Sticky Syrup. Usually want to heal up your teammates, but against that Shelly that will just want to chase you down, you need something to slow her down. And yeah, as you said, they're going to break open the map. Pierce is going to do even more of what he does so well, namely snipe his opponents. Pretty good comp here from the side of Tribe Gaming, but Vatic, I'm here for you to surprise me. You have to in this one. Tribe Gaming can close it out.
Don't know how convinced I am of this Vatic comp, to be honest. Let's see how they fare though. Luffy already overextending though, will go down as a result, so that's a fantastic start. Ducky really utilising the speed of this BB to weave around. Pebble, Tonic coming up for us. I wasn't too convinced of the Sticky Syrup because there's no real assassin. Just Luffy who's going to be attached the whole entire time to the BB anyways. Oh, that's the connection you're looking for.
Yeah, that mixtape is pretty fire with it cutting the heads off of a couple of brawlers on the enemy side. Ducky's look pretty good on the micro. I want to point out that he used his knockback and Luffy's like, that's my cue, I got to dash in. And Ducky says, I get a second one from the gadget. Knocks him back. I feel like Vatic really know how to execute on this brawler, and they knew that into a brawler like Shelly, for example, they should be fine as long as they can keep the spike away. Ducky does have to retreat, but he gets that healing from Barley on that herbal tonic. And no slow this time. They're not really worried about that Shelly rushing in so much as it being responsive to the BB, it would seem. Vatic are in the lead. They have 60% to 9. Ducky still setting up high. He doesn't seem to mind, but coming in with a hypercharge is going to be troublesome.
Well, this is why they're really dependent upon these heals. Good cycling there from Tribe with the hypercharge, but still not enough. And Vatic on his own. Ducky just utilizing again that home run star power to perfection. Finally shut down by Diego Gamer. But look how much Tribe have got to do to catch up here. They're at a pretty good shot now, especially with Bilal being this low, creeping ever closer towards 40%. They've got to hold this entire time. Map open, Bilal goes down. This is massive, and this never falls as quickly as that. Tribe could very easily catch up now.
I very much agree with how Vatic are playing this, though. They're not sending Ducky on a solo mission, like a suicide mission. He's going to create the pressure and then take advantage when everyone else has pushed up on his team, at least. We see the hypercharge super coming in from Bilal. Big old circle on the circle. It's not one that anyone can walk into. Ducky smacks Luffy away, but I feel like that's exactly where Luffy wanted to be. Now that all these walls are broken open, there's not really anywhere for Vatic to sit. They counted up to 78% in the early stages, but they cannot bring things back. Look at the slowing also onto Bilal. You see that Pierce is running the slow star power with his first shot, inflicting that on enemies. Tribe Gaming proceed on to match point. That is not how I saw this one going after we saw Vatic reach, what, the 70% mark?
It's a comp that, yeah, it just has such a great early game, but as time goes on, the more those walls go down, the less you've got really anything to go with. I'm surprised that Ducky used hypercharge towards the end there in a 1v3. I mean, it's not going to really do much. I think more of a sign of desperation on Vatic, who are really in a dangerous place now to... They've got to do so much. They've got to really just have the entirety of the zone for such a long time, and as time goes on, feeding RBM, feeding Luffy, they can't afford these walls to go down.
They don't want to feed them. That's why they put Livy on the proper lane this time. But Ducky now has a torture game against this Chester. He doesn't want to feed him bombs. He doesn't want to give him damage. Does take advantage of the aggression from the right side. And lucky Duck, RBM gets a jawbreaker immediately. Doesn't get him the kill, but it keeps the pressure up. Ducky's not able to advance on. That's an ugly super for Ducky. But it was a quick reaction. I guess we could let it slide by. It would have helped out a lot, though. It would have gotten him closer to the hypercharge that matters so much. No kill for Bilal just yet. But the rest of his team is pushed up. You see as Livy's in position as Barley.
Oh, lovely connection there from Bilal. Actually, Fluffy goes straight down into it, and that could have actually worked out, to be fair. It's a tied game, and that's kind of concerning because Vatic had a much bigger lead at this stage in the last game, and yet Tribe Gaming still turn it around. This is what I'm worried for. As soon as RBM gets that hypercharge, it doesn't matter what's in his box of tricks for the super. You know that those walls are going down.
Tribe Gaming is still applying pressure to Vatic in their own spawn. In spite of the presence of walls, even Bilal's feeling that he also blocks the shots with a well-placed life plant. Luffy getting tossed around, but where's the kill? Ducky has the hypercharge, doesn't want to get slowed down, just going to toss out a super for a bit of extra damage, and RBM on the right side wins.
Oh, no.
Ducky taken down by Diego Gamer. Realistically, Vatic only have one more shot to take back mid.
And you need that kind of like hypercharge to be able to do that, and Ducky wasted it again, and now, realistically here, Tribe should be able to seal things. The map is painted exactly the way they want it. Luffy there, the hypercharge as well, going to town. And there's the wipe, as Tribe will stay standing at 90%. Ducky can make his last final ditch attempt. The Pierce will be delaying the onset, and that is dominance. Tribe Gaming back in business. And one of the favorites in this competition falls in the quarterfinals.
The looks of pride, and thanks for 20K, says Diego.
Wow. Wow. No. Oh my God. That is one of the most brutal player cams I've ever seen. Oh my God.
That's pretty disrespectful. I mean,
Allegedly.
Allegedly 20K. If you know it, you know, and it won't be hard to find on the Bird app later. Wow. Vatic.
This is why I love NA. This is why we brawl.
This is what they call, in the industry, it's professionally referred to as NA vibes, and I'm here for it.
I was the person that originated NA vibes.
Were you really?
Yeah, it was. It was in a live stream chat, and OG picked it up, and I was, yeah, I said I was kind of not really feeling the NA vibes anymore, and it led from there.
Well, okay, I guess you really mean it when you say that NA is your favorite region. You hear that, EU? Don't let him back.
The NA bands are a bit less playful than others, a bit harsher, but yeah, that was a very, very good player cam. So good that we want to show it twice. Here we go again.
All over socials, all over socials.
No.
Tribe Gaming.
Goodbye.
Tribe Gaming takes this one, even after most of the casters have said Vatic is gonna, yeah, easy breezy, go through the semi-finals because they've been looking so good in scrims. Tribe instead